All right, we'll start the series of OSD punches here for the afternoon, or my afternoon anyway. The next one is the Scrub SnapTrim IO prioritization discussion. I think that's going to be led by Sam. Sam, if you want to jump in and run through the blueprint real quick, and we can get that started.
So there isn't much to this one, actually. The basic problem at the moment is that we have some background sort of I/O intensive tasks that we want to prioritize with respect to client I/O, which is to say, ideally, if your client I/O is bursty, then you shouldn't do any of this background stuff when you're actually serving a request, and you should wait until there isn't anything. However, if it's not bursty, then it should not starve. So those are the two pieces we want to balance. At the moment, we do this in an extremely coarse fashion by simply exiling all of the background tasks to their own thread pool and just giving them fewer threats than the op thread pool. This is obviously a little bit less than ideal. We did recently add a patch to master, at least, that uses the IO priority stuff in the kernel to deprioritize those threads, and that does appear to help. But I think in the long term, what we want to do is we want to encapsulate each scrub and SnapTrim task, as well as backfill, as an item which we simply put into the OSD op work queue with everything else. This is desirable because the OSD op work queue already has a token bucket scheme working for it. Initially to balance recovery requests versus client requests, but it would be trivial to extend that to encompass these as well. Thoughts?
Yes. So I guess the question is like mechanically. So it's scrub work and it's SnapTrim work, right? Those are the two.
And that backfill scan thing, yeah.
The backfill scan. I wonder if the recovery work queue, like we have all these work queues. I wonder if we should be just unifying them.
Sorry, that's the other one. Yeah, you're right. Every work queue currently should pretty much go into here. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's recovery, SnapTrim, scrub finalize.
Yep.
Replica scrub.
So every work queue becomes part of the sum type that we queue into the op work queue.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, you queue an op request ref. Now you'll queue an op request ref, or a scrub item, or a SnapTrim item, or a scrub finalize item, or etc. And then we'll just dispatch them in the process.
You'll just make a container type that's like a work item.
I think it'll literally be a boost variant. It's trivial. Very little to it.
Yeah, okay.
The only tricky bit is determining what cost and priority these guys should have. Historically, we've simply added yet another inscrutable config option, which no one sets correctly, and I think we'll start with that. And then with feedback, we'll try to narrow in on what the correct values should be.
Yep.
If anyone has any ideas on how to do that, we'd love to hear them. The way just to get some background, the op work queue is not very complicated. You queue on a priority and a cost. For anything above priority 63, it's a strict priority queue, and anything with a higher priority goes first in strict order. Below 63, however, we process items based on how we do a token bucket thing, where each item that gets processed has its cost divvied into the other buckets based on the relative priorities. So if you have 63 and 10, and if you have some items queued at priority 60 and some items queued at priority 10, and you process an item with cost 7, the 60 priority queue should get 6 tokens, and the 10 queue should get 1, I believe. If I remember correctly.
Right. So the first thing that worries me is that all of these, in each of these cases, there's a bunch of kludginess that essentially dequeues things from the work queue and clears it up whenever there's some sort of reset event. Is all of
That
that, is that actually going to get simpler, or is that going to get more tricky because they won't?
I believe we don't even bother to dequeue them. We simply queue them
Check.
as we do every asynchronous event with an epoch number.
Yeah. That doesn't actually matter, does it?
No. And actually, there's another bit where, oh yeah, no, actually, when we go through a reset event, we also extract everything on that PG from the output queue anyway. Don't we? Hang on. No, that's only on split. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, but
So yeah,
I mean, all this.
exactly like the current op request refs, except that everywhere we get something that isn't an op request ref, the boost variant visitor will just discard it.
Yeah. And all this stuff is analogous in that sense. It's just,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just work.
All we're doing is ordering callbacks with a priority. There's not much to it.
Yeah. And their priorities relative to each other already don't matter because they're already asynchronous work queues. Is this an opportunity to marry the peering work queue with everything else, or keep that separate for now?
The peering work queue is separate because, hang on, there was a reason.
I seem to remember that its separateness was.
It's convenient for a number of reasons. One of them are it has different locking requirements from literally everything else because it adjusts the PG's map epoch. And also we want peering. Peering should properly have a preposterously high priority anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's usually going to throw away a bunch of other work.
Yeah. I don't see any. I mean, we can keep an eye on it as we go, but I don't see any really compelling.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember why. It's because of the batching. It's because we batch a bunch of PGs to go through peering at once, so we can batch up the messages they send.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's not actually that compelling a reason, but it's not nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, no reason to make this more complicated.
Oh, and peering messages have to be processed under the OSD lock. That's the other reason.
Mm-hmm.
With the new fast dispatch stuff, there's a big difference.
Got it. Okay. And does the shardedness of the op work queue change anything?
No. My recollection is that it shards out the work items based on the PG ref. So in that sense, we're fine. It's actually queuing a pair of PG ref and op request ref at the moment. Yeah. So now we'll queue a pair of PG ref and this boost variant type.
Right. Which in most of these cases is nothing actually, because all we do is queue the PG, maybe like a type.
No, you still need the variant type because that tells it what to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, but there's no actual right.
There's no payload. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it could actually queue a context if we so chose, but that seems like we'd lose some potentially useful debugging information. I'd rather have the debugging information.
Yep.
Plus allocation and such.
Variant thing is simple. Okay. Well, I guess the big question for me is just how does this stack up against everything else that's sort of on the horizon?
In terms of priority or complexity?
Yeah, in terms of priority and ordering and whatever else. I mean, I think there's still
important and really easy. So I think it should be done soon.
Okay.
It really is extremely easy. It's pretty much just defining the type, changing everywhere we queue for whatever to just queue the relevant type into the output queue, and then changing the process function to dispatch in the boost variant type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. One of the things we were just adding was the IO prioritization.
Yes.
Is this gonna this will basically replace?
So,
because we're doing the
like
prioritization higher up the queue, higher up the stack.
like I said before, I'm actually worried. So the IO prioritization thing isn't actually necessarily what you want. Once you've committed to doing scrub, you actually want it to complete as soon as possible because you cannot process any other IO on that PG until it's complete.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, for scrub, that's something of a nuance. We want to deprioritize the part where we perform the lock in the Chucky scrub, and then do every subsequent piece of that scrub at super high priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so between the time when we lock and the time when we unlock, everything needs to be high priority, but the part where we start the lock needs to have a high cost and a low priority. So, but we will have the freedom to express it that way with this queue. So that's good.
I guess the high level question is, what are we missing out on if we're not allowing these priorities to be communicated to lower levels of the stack? Right. I mean, obviously it's problematic given how our locking works right now. But ignoring that,
it's not even that. It's that the problem is that they're lower priority, but the scheduling decision has to be made before the OS gets a crack at it. By the time the OS gets any of this information, it's way too late. Mm-hmm. That's my concern. It's not that we're not passing information. It's that it's semantically one layer up. It's the choice to do the locking rather than the actual reads.
Right. Yep.
Anywhere where we used to perform scans without holding a lock, that would have been a good use for the IO priority threads, but we don't do any of that anymore because it was too complicated.
Or we don't?
No, we hold the lock for all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
If we wanted to go back to that, it would basically be if we call the original scrub bad scrub, and then the part where we did incremental scrub. That was the thing where we released the lock.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that was.
And took the lock into the second. So we could do an incremental scrub on scrub chunks. It's not clear that would be in any way better than just scrubbing smaller chunks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That sounds good. Of SnapTrim. Cool. Do we have any questions on what this means?
Really was quick.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because the next one's much more complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll be nice to get rid of all those work keys.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, not the recovery one, the scrub or queue. Like each of these is doing something. I guess they're not. They're all pretty similar. Finalize. Yeah, they're all pretty trivial. Okay. Okay. PG removal also.
I'm sorry?
The PG removal.
Oh yeah, that one too. Ooh, actually, that one's truly background. That one we actually could leave in its own work queue and just deprioritize.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. Yeah, we might as well do that. We could add the IO prio thing.
Yep.
That one's separate. Okay. So actually, I guess we should just leave the disk thread pool where it is, with the ability to deprioritize. We can probably like adjust it down so it defaults to the idle thread or something lower.
Well, you can't let PG removal actually starve, but yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah, just low. Well, yeah, make it low at least, and then pull everything else out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. We did it in 3 minutes.
Huh. All right, we ready to move to the next one then? Is that the deal?
Let's talk about scrub and repair.
All right.
That's the messy one anyway.
Switch the flip. And then